Today, I'm talking all about how to create content when you are feeling stretched thin, which I know is a feeling that all business owners are going to be able to relate to at some point or another. In the episode, I'm going to share practical, real-life ways to create content when you're short on time, energy, or motivation, or all of the above. And I will also share tips that are designed to take the pressure off while still helping you connect with your audience in a way that feels true to you and in a way that keeps you visible. So if you've ever found yourself thinking, I know I should post, but I've just got nothing left to give, or I just don't have the time, then make sure you listen to today's episode because it is one that will really benefit you. But before we dive in, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to tune in to Show Up and Be Heard, the podcast that exists to help women like you simplify your business and your life so that you can stop feeling so overwhelmed. I am your host, Becky McAvoy, owner and founder of Be Heard Socials, and I am an award-winning social media marketer and international speaker who specialises in content strategy and organic growth on social media. Through this podcast, as well as my own social media, email community, and my award-winning membership, the Boss Your Socials Club, my mission is to cut through the noise to make social media marketing accessible and easy to understand for businesses that can't afford to outsource or who don't have the teams required to implement most of the advice that's out there or most of the advice that's being given to them. So if you want to cut through the noise and BS and get practical, actionable advice tailored specifically to make social media marketing accessible and easy to understand, or if you want to be part of a supportive community where women entrepreneurs can feel connected and inspired to achieve their dreams, then keep listening because you are in the right place. To get more tips like the ones you hear in this podcast, make sure you join my email community through the link in the show notes. Right then, let's get started with this week's episode. Hello and welcome back to season 5 of Show Up and Be Heard. This is the first episode back after the Easter holidays, but it's also the first episode of a brand new season. And I am so excited that you are here listening. So I just wanted to say hello and welcome back before we got stuck in. I have had almost 3 weeks off work, which feels absolutely wild. Like me of probably even a year ago wouldn't have even been able to believe that. It included a sunny holiday to Tenerife and a trip down south to see my family. And honestly, I feel so much better for it. My cup's feeling full again. My battery feels recharged and I'm properly ready to get stuck into work and stuck into lots of exciting new goals and exciting new things because it's also the start of my business year. I don't go from January to December with my goals. I go from April to April. Or April to March. So yeah, I'm just feeling raring and energized and ready to get stuck in. I hope you are too. But if you're not, that's I think this episode might help you because the time off that I've just had, and like I said, even me of a year ago wouldn't have believed that I'd just had that amount of time off without working, is kind of what inspired today's episode, the topic of today's episode. Because I used to feel like taking a break just meant coming back to a mountain of tasks and overflowing to-do list, especially when it came to showing up and staying visible in my business. It just all felt a lot and it almost felt like it wasn't even worth taking the time off because I just pretty quickly became more stressed than I was beforehand because I had so much to do. And yeah, I just thought, do you know what? Actually, maybe it would be really helpful to do an episode around creating content when you're feeling stretched thin, because if you're listening to this podcast, I already know that you get how important it is to show up on social media. You wouldn't be listening to this if you didn't. You know that it matters. I don't need to preach that to you. You know it's something that needs to be prioritized and you're doing something about it. You're listening to this podcast and that is really, really great. But let's be honest, I can give you all the tips in the world and I can give you all the motivation and inspiration in the world. But when life's busy, it can just feel like one more thing on your already never ending to-do list and your constantly growing to-do list. And it's often the ball that I see a lot of business owners drop first because everything else feels more urgent. And I get that. I really do get it. But what I want you to know is that it doesn't have to feel like that. And hopefully the tips I'm going to give you today you can put into action. Some of them might be a bit longer term. You might not do all of them at once, but you can start with some little steps that take you away from that feeling and stop you from having to feel like that all the time. And like I said, I can't believe that I've just taken 3 weeks off and I'm coming back not feeling really overwhelmed and stressed. I've properly rested and recharged. And even though I do social media marketing for a business, showing up and being visible and marketing myself and my content and all that kind of stuff when I was doing it for myself, like I said, felt a lot and I did come back stressed. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping to cover in today's episode. And if that's what you want to hear, then keep on listening, because that's the tips and advice that I'm going to share with you. Because when you approach it with the right mindset and a few clever strategies, marketing yourself on social media can work with your life rather than against it, even when things feel really full on and even when you've taken some time off. So without further ado, let's get stuck into the how. So the thing I want to start with is just by saying, when you're feeling stretched, the pressure to keep up can feel even heavier. So the very first thing I want you to do is take that weight off your shoulders and remind yourself and tell yourself, and maybe even say this out loud: I don't have to be everywhere all the time. Showing up isn't about being loud, perfect, or posting daily. It's about being present, real, and consistent in a way that works for you, not the other way around. Consistency doesn't mean frequency, it means familiarity, and it means showing up in a way that your audience can know what to expect. I've actually done an episode previously on consistency, so I'll link to that in the show notes. Showing up regularly enough so that your audience remembers who you are and how you help. That's what we need to be doing. And that can be all singing, all dancing sometimes, or it could be once a week. It could even be twice a month. It could be anything you want it to be. There is no one size fits all. Now, obviously, if you're only posting once a month or twice a month or whatever it might be, then you need to be realistic with the engagement that you expect and the growth that you expect and all kinds of things like that. But actually reminding yourself, and I've mentioned this in a few episodes now, but reminding yourself that sometimes your goal is to be visible and to be consistent, and that is enough in itself. So when things are busy, ask yourself, what's the bare minimum I can do to stay visible without burning out? And what that will look like will completely depend on what's going on for you in your life and all your to-do list and your priorities and all that kind of stuff. Also ask yourself, can I swap polish for presence? Can I share something small but valuable? You know, this mindset shift gives you permission to scale down without switching off completely. And you don't always have to be giving. Like I said, sometimes the goal is showing up and remaining visible. Now, you don't want to be posting a load of rubbish. You don't want to be putting posts out there just for the sake of it. You do still want your post to be valuable, but just thinking about what that might be and remembering that it doesn't have to be new all the time. So a big tip I will give you is a repurpose like an absolute pro. This one is a game changer. You do not need to create new content every single time from scratch. Repurposing can be your best friend when you're low on time. And by repurposing, I mean taking old content, whether that's old grid posts, old stories, something from a blog, if you have a podcast, something from a podcast, basically something you've said before or put out there before, and putting it out in a new way. And no, your audience will not remember that you posted something similar 3 months ago or whenever it was. A lot of your audience won't even remember something that you posted 3 days ago. And that's not about your content. It's just about how fast paced social media is. And honestly, well, firstly, I promise they won't remember. And secondly, I promise that if they do, they are paying a lot of attention to you. And that is a good thing. That shows that what you're posting is memorable. So I would take that as a win as well. But yeah, repurposing can be your best friend. So if you're needing to create content to stay visible, go back through some of your old content, or like I said, blog posts, podcasts, whatever it might be, and put some of the same stuff out there, but in a slightly different way. So here is how you do that. Firstly, you can scroll back through. If you're doing it from your Instagram posts or your social media posts, go through your insights, which platforms like Instagram lets you do from 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. I think it lets you go up to 2 years ago. And you can filter it down to whatever you want to filter it down to. The posts that got the most likes, the posts that got the most comments, the posts that got the most saves, the ones that had the most link clicks. There's loads of different options in there when you go into your insights, and find one that got the thing that you're wanting to achieve. So for example, good engagements or shares. Then put that out in a different way. You can copy and paste the caption into a new post and update the first line or call to action if you want to. But like I said, most people won't remember what you said. So you can just copy and paste a caption if you want. And maybe put it out with a different image. That could just be a different color, or it could be a different wording on the post. So say, for example, your first post said 3 ways to do this thing. It could be, you could just do 1 way, actually. You could do my favorite way to do this thing. You could also turn that one post into multiple different formats. So if it was a post before, you could turn it into a story. If you did a story, you could turn it into a post. If you did a single image post, so just a static image, you could turn it into a reel or a carousel. So you could take the information that was in your caption and put that information into a carousel, so across your images, and make your caption shorter. Or like I said, you could turn it into a reel. If you had a great conversation in your DMs, you could summarize the advice you gave as a post, or summarize what you got from that as a post. So like I said, that the repurposing can kind of come from anywhere. If somebody's asked you a question recently, turn that into a post and use the answer that you gave as your post, the detail of your post. And it's a good idea as well to keep a done for you folder. So save captions you've written, Canva templates that you love, or other templates that you love, or feedback from clients in an easy to access folder. I do this on Asana, but there's tons of different ways that you can do it. If you are in Your Socials Club, I hope you've already all done this already, but there's training in there that tells you how to set this up in Asana if you want to. And it's really helpful when time is short to find something to repurpose. And then you can pick one, tweak it, and post it again. This works especially well if you are juggling work and home life, which I think we all are. You've already done the hard part. You've put it out there already. So just give it a second life. And like I said, if it comes from a blog post, you can use tools like ChatGPT or different AI tools to say, here's a caption I wrote previously. Can you repurpose it into something new? And obviously you want to feed it with the prompts to make it sound like you, and you want it to still align with you and all that kind of stuff. So you'll have to brief, what you put into ChatGPT is what you get out of it, basically. So think about that, but you could do it through tools like that as well. But yeah, give that content that you've already put the hard work into putting out there a second life. Repurpose, repurpose, repurpose. It is a game changer, I promise you. Okay, another thing that you can do is lean on prompts. So when your brain is too tired to be creative, prompts can be a lifesaver. They take away the mental load of trying to think about what to say, and they help you just get started. Now, if you're in Boss Your Socials Club, or you have seen what Boss Your Socials Club is all about, you'll know that I'm big on content prompts. So members of Boss Your Socials Club get content prompts in a strategy. So they're not just prompts, they actually fit into a strategy across the month of being able to show up and sell and optimize for engagement and show off your expertise and that kind of thing. But I am really big on them, and that's why I include them in the Boss Your Socials Club, because like I said, they take away the mental load of thinking about what to say, and they're like conversation starters between you and your audience. And I know that with members in my Boss Your Socials Club, sometimes they'll look at the content prompts and it will give them an idea for another post. So they might not actually do the prompt that's in there, but it's given them like a creative kickstart, or taken away the mental load of having to think about something, even if they might do something different. So yeah, lean in on prompts. That is really, really valuable. Like I said, if you are in Boss Your Socials Club, remember the content plan is full of these kind of prompts each month. Use them. They are really, really detailed. They have a how to use them. They have image prompts as well. They have call to action advice. They have graphic prompts and all stuff like that. So if you haven't done for a while, go in, download some, use them, use the current months, whatever you want to use. Go back through old ones if you want to, and get new ideas how to make them different. They are there to make life easier. And like I said, in Boss Your Socials Club, it is set up as a strategy. So it's great if you can follow it through. But even if you just want to pick a few out, that's great too. If you are not in Boss Your Socials Club, do not worry, because I've got you too. I have a free download with 20 content prompts in it, and they are there for when your brain's too tired to be creative. It is perfect for those stretch thin days that we're talking all about today, and it is totally free. So I will pop the link in the show notes so that you can grab that as well. So yeah, if you're in Boss Your Socials Club, go to the content plans that I put together for you, because like I said, they are strategic. If you're not, you can obviously join Boss Your Socials Club. Or you can download my free 20 content prompts to help your brain if it's a little bit too tired to be creative. The link for that will be in the show notes. The link for all those things will be in the show notes. Okay, my next tip is to make use of your stories and other features like stories. And remember that content isn't all about posting to the grid. So I'm going to speak specifically about stories, but there are other things that you can do as well. So stories are Instagram stories I'm speaking about specifically here that can be shared to Facebook as well, or you can do them on Facebook as well. They are your low effort, high impact content tool. And it's worth remembering, like I said, that content isn't just about polished posts on your grid. Stories totally count for staying visible. They are a brilliant way to stay visible and connect without the pressure of perfection. You don't have to record yourself talking if you're not in the mood. You could share a photo of your messy desk and say, this is real life today. You could share a video of you out on a walk or some scenery or your office space and give your to-do list. You could post a behind the scenes glimpse of your day. You could use a question box or poll to ask something fun or relevant and start some conversations and interactions to encourage engagement. Or you can share a tip with a simple text slide. Quick tip for anyone trying to post but feeling stuck, for example, if you are doing social media stuff. Or it could just be you take one of your old posts and, like I said, just share that tip on a story. Might be really nice way to do it. The point is, it doesn't have to be polished. Stories are a perfect place to be human. And when you're stretched thin, it is more than enough. So if you're having one of those weeks where showing up feels like a lot, think about what else counts as content, because it's not always about the grid. The other great thing about stories is you will know if you've listened to past episodes of this or if you've followed my content in different places for a while, that I am a big advocate of batching. But batching does take time and it does take headspace. So if you have fallen behind with that, don't give yourself a hard time and do what is a little bit easier. And stories are a great way to make that easier because you can do it in the moment without having to think too much about it. That disappears after 24 hours. So like I said, it doesn't have to be dead polished. Not that your grid posts have to be really, really polished, but also if you want to stick it around for longer, if you've shared some tips, you can save that into your highlights as well. So I have an episode all about highlights. I will link to that in the show notes, which if you don't know what they are, that episode talks all about it and it talks all about how to use them. So I will link to that in the show notes. It also gives loads and loads of great tips about the kind of highlights that you might want. So if you are doing content in the moment, you don't have to worry that it's not going to stick around because you can save it to a highlight if you want to. So yeah, make use of your stories. Okay, so what is my next tip? My next tip is to think about connection and think about engagement. So a little bit like stories, you can think about the things that you can do in the moment that haven't necessarily been pre-planned, or the things that in the moment don't take an enormous amount of time, because creating content can feel exhausting when you are already overwhelmed. And I laugh, but it's so true. But engagement, connecting with others can often feel lighter and you can do it in the moment. So if posting feels too much, try focusing on that connection and that engagement instead. And actually that can be really powerful at helping you optimize for engagement and grow your audience and do all that kind of stuff. So that could include replying to DMs and comments if you are getting them. It could leave thoughtful comments. It could mean leaving thoughtful comments on 2 to 3 other accounts with similar audiences. It could mean watching through some stories and replying to people's stories that they're sharing and starting some conversations and building relationships. That is just as powerful, if not more, than putting that content out there on your grid. And it's especially powerful if you have fallen behind with doing that, at staying visible and staying in people's minds. You could also share someone else's posts that really spoke to you and add a sentence about why and tag them in it, and they might share that to their stories, increasing your reach. Or also, which kind of goes back to the repurposing actually, you can just share some of your old posts. Like maybe you've had a comment on one of your posts and like an old post that you've put out. And if you don't know, you can hold down on that comment and share it to your stories. So it shares with the comment as well and might encourage people to go and engage with that post as well. So that kind of goes back into repurposing, but also engagement as well. You can encourage engagement on some of your old posts that you've already put the hard work into getting out there. All of this kind of stuff helps keep you visible and top of mind, and you don't have to create anything new to do it, which, you know, I am here for, and is particularly great when you are feeling stretched thin. And just remember, connection builds trust. Social media is about engagement, and trust and engagement builds clients and helps you sell. And you can do that without posting a thing. So yeah, that's something really, really great to think about as well. Okay, so before I wrap up, I just want to remind you that this stretched thin feeling will pass. It is a moment and it might last a few weeks. It might even last a few months. It might last longer than that, but it is just a moment or a season, if you want to think about it like that. It will pass. It's not a failure. It's not a sign that you're falling behind. Even one post, one story, one comment a week can keep the momentum going. Those tips that I've shared in this episode can keep that momentum going and help you be visible at a time where you haven't got the capacity to put out lots and lots of content. You can show up imperfectly and still make an impact. You can rest and still run a business. You can be quiet and still be seen. So breathe. You are not doing it wrong. You are doing it your way. You are doing it in a way that fits around your life and what's going on for you right now, and not the other way around. And that is what I am the biggest advocate for, because there is, doing your best does not mean pushing yourself to the point of a mental breakdown or pushing yourself to burnout. So yeah, I want to leave you with that. And if you take nothing else from this episode, please let it be that reminder. That is it from me today. That is the first episode of season 5 done. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's given you some practical ideas and a few deep breaths. If you are in a period of being stretched thin, I see you. I've been there. My start of the year has been a little bit like that, and I am cheering you on. And if this episode helped, I'd love it if you shared it with a friend who might need it too. I would really, really love that. That will obviously help them, but it will also help me. And I would be so very, very grateful. So until next time, be kind to yourself. Don't overthink it. And remember, done is always better than perfect. Before you go, if you love this podcast and you're a woman running a small business who wants to make social media easier and business life less lonely, I've got something for you. The Boss Your Socials Club is here to bring you inspiration, accountability, confidence, and community. It's a place where we ban the word should, because we believe in a bespoke advice that will work for you, your stage of life, and your business. As a member, you'll get a clear content plan every month, ready to use templates, and the accountability to actually show up. Plus, you'll have expert support and a community of incredible women who get it, want to give you advice, and want to cheer you on. Think of it like having a teeny tiny social media marketing expert in your pocket, giving you the knowledge and the assurance when it comes to posting great, engaging content on your social media platforms and showing up in a way that grows your business without the overwhelm. It's just £24 a month and you can join anytime. Head to www.beheardsocials.com/boss your socials to find out more and sign up now.